All right, on page 150, you folks are going to see the final research article about the topic of our argumentative essay, cell phone use while driving. And this piece, I'm going to have us do a majority vote, whether you want to read it aloud or just read it with a partner, complete the piece on your own. Now, with this last article, I'm not going to provide you any specific markings, so you're not going to see any highlighted material pop up. There aren't going to be any specific notes. I've done that with 3 separate articles with you folks, so this last one, you really need to shoot for it on your own. But things that I want you to consider, in that black box to the right, 2 things that I want you to focus in on. Number 1, I want you to be circling counterclaims that are being addressed. Okay, now, the claim for our essay is that cell phone use while driving is a hazard, it's dangerous. This article actually presents a lot of counterclaims to that. People that argue, you know what, having a cell phone, it's not a problem. And they have research to back it up. So I want you to be able to circle what pieces are counterclaims that are being addressed and trying to be stated as being more truthful. Second thing I want you to do is I want you to highlight any evidence, facts, pieces that you would like to use from this article in our essay. So that's what you're going to be responsible for doing while we either read it together or if you read it on your own. So let's do a majority vote. How many of you would prefer just to kind of whip through this thing on your own? Oh, I'm going to go with the majority rule on that one. All right, so folks, I'm going to give you, let's say, 7 minutes. We might not even need that much time. If you want to read it with a partner or with the entire group and annotate the text as one full unit, that's totally fine by me. If you just want to read it by yourself, you can do that too. This article, it's really interesting. It's got a lot of information. Truthfully, I think it's the best article for the entire essay as a whole. All right, guys, you've got about 7 minutes to go ahead and get through this article and tackle those annotations. All right, folks. So you have about 7 minutes to read through that article. Hopefully you're picking out pieces of evidence that you liked that you think you would really incorporate into your essay about cell phone use while driving. And hopefully you're able to identify some really solid counter arguments that individuals are making about our claim. So we're going to move on to step 4. If you're not done with the article, you probably can still tackle step 4 without a problem. It's on page 152, so go ahead and turn the page if you haven't. And we're going to break apart step 4 into other steps, just because it's asking you to do a lot, and we'll just do one thing at a time. So stuff's going to show up on the screen for you to highlight. I'm going to ask you to do that with me. The first thing step 4 is asking you to do is pull out 2 pieces of relevant and convincing information. So while you folks were reading through it, I asked you to highlight info that you felt you would like to incorporate into the essay about cell phone use while driving. So I want you to flip back to pages 150, 151, and I want you to really determine which 2 pieces you would like to incorporate. You can put a star next to them, circle them, just make them stand out. If you only have 2 pieces, that makes it really easy for you. And once you've got those 2 pieces, the next part of step 4 is actually doing something with those items that you've selected. So the next thing I'm going to have you highlight, it asks you to paraphrase one piece of information. So whichever maybe logos appear that you found or ethos appear that you found, I want you to go ahead and paraphrase just one, and that'll fall right below the paraphrase line. The second thing that we're going to end up doing is completing an embedded quote. So let's go ahead and just paraphrase one piece of information to start, and then I'll walk you through getting the embedded quote prepared. The majority of you are pretty much done paraphrasing that first fact. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on an embedded quote. So just for remembrance sake, I'm going to have you copy down that quick little formula, paraphrase plus the direct wording or quote from the text, plus the citation, author, and page number. So the second item that you selected is relevant information. You're going to turn it into that embedded quote. Here's a few lead-ins in case you want to use them or in case you're getting stuck. No, you don't need to use these, but they are at your disposal if you'd like. One pretty easy lead-in, researchers have noted that. Insert your quote, cite it. Evidence is found that cell phones, insert your quote, cite it. Or some individuals have claimed that cell phones are not a problem because, insert a quote, and cite it. I'm going to give you about a minute and a half to kind of work your way through this embedded quote. If you're still finishing up your embedded quote, keep going until you get it done. Those of you that are ready to go, the first big item I wanted to tackle is getting that annotated bibliography as complete as possible. So go ahead and pull out your annotated bib form from yesterday. If you've been utilizing your own research because your topic is different than the class one, you just work on your specific pieces. Those of you that are working on the cell phone while driving topic, which is the majority of you, we have to finish research card number 2. So if you're not sure which one that is, you can take a quick look at the screen. There's an arrow pointing to which card we need to finish. It's on the back side of the handout. It's the topmost box or topmost card. That's the one that's blank. So just like yesterday when you were asked to make an annotated bibliography without me, I gave you a few cues, hints as to how to finish it. I'm going to do the same thing with you folks today. So for the citation of this article that we read today about cell phones and driving, you're going to utilize the online article formula, and when it asks for format of text, you would write print. The first question is a 1-sentence minimum. The second question, you've got to give me at least 3 sentences. And when it's asking you for the date of access, you're going to put down today's date. Now, obviously, what's written on the screen for the date of access is not written in the correct format. You've got to place it in that correct way. I'm going to give you about 6 minutes to work with your annotated bib. If you want to work with someone, you can. No big deal. Just remember, the only thing that can be identical to your partner is the citation. Your answers to the questions have to be different for you to get your full credit. All right, about 6 minutes to work with this annotated bib, and then we're going to move on to our third body paragraph. So, in your raw notebook, most of you probably have your first body paragraph done, which is great. Second body paragraph, you probably don't have it done. Maybe it's at the halfway point, maybe it's a little bit less than that. That's okay. Wherever you stop at your second body paragraph, give yourself enough room to finish that piece up if you did not get it done. And we're going to move on to that third body paragraph. Now, the third body paragraph, the outline, it's going to be this pink page. I'm going to set that at your desk for you the opportunity to work with it. The third body paragraph, you need to prove your third reason of our topic of cell phone use while driving by using the article we read today. Again, if you're talking about the topic of cell phone use while driving, this particular paragraph needs to contain evidence from the article we read today. Okay? So, time stamp here, I'm going to give you about 6 minutes. I know it's not enough to finish it, but it's just, again, get yourself to a starting point so when you come in tomorrow, you have an idea of where to work with, and all you've got to do is just play catch up and finishing. Okay? So 6 minutes. Go ahead and work with that third body paragraph. Transitions are on the screen if you need them or if you want to use them. Okay, I know it's a lot of push through. I know I'm trying to get you through everything. I mentioned it before. Don't freak out. You have catch-up day tomorrow to finish these pieces. Go to your table of contents. The conclusion we're going to put in as an entirely separate entry. While you're getting your entry done, I know the date says the 7th. It's okay if you write the 7th instead of the 6th. It's not going to bother me. While you're getting this entry prepped, I'm going to go ahead and swap out those pink half sheets for a yellow one. That's going to be the conclusion outline. Alright, folks. A lot of chatter. Just boring it down. So the conclusion is being handed to you now. You kind of have to get yourself away from this mode that we've been working in of body paragraphs, and we're essentially reformatting it. It looks a whole heck of a lot different than what you have been doing. So the conclusion, the way the outline looks, your sentences, how many that I'm looking for, they're written with check marks in your outline. So you've got about 4 sentences is what I'm looking for a conclusion. It can certainly be more than that. 4 is kind of the minimum there. And the idea of how to format that conclusion, you really, really need to hit home the point that your opposition, any counterclaim, is invalid. That's the main purpose behind this conclusion for this essay. So really make sure that you're sticking to that. Another piece that you're not arguing but requesting is something called the call to action. So what do you want people to do as a result of reading your piece? So whether it is the cell phone idea, or if you have a different topic, what do you want your readers to do about your issue? All right, now again, you're probably not going to get very far, but you're going to get a starting point. I'm going to give you about like 2.5 minutes. I know it's not a lot, but just something to get a starting point ready to go for tomorrow. All right, go ahead.